Good morning. I'm Lynn, and I'd like to welcome you to our next episode at Ewetopia Farms. It always seems like our day starts off with feeding the sheep, but actually, our day starts off with feeding the wild birds. And usually I have a squirrel here too, but he's not here this morning. As you can see, it's a cloudy day. It was pouring rain. Here in Canada this year, it's been a really slow start. But if you watched our video yesterday, you'll see that we planted barley. And it's not just luck that we planted yesterday. We heard that rain was coming in today. And it's a bonus if you can plant seeds and then the following day it's followed by a little bit of rain. It just gives the seeds that extra little boost and kind of lodges them into the ground a little more. And we always like to plant before a rain, so that worked out in our favor. And also in yesterday's video I said that he was planting the barley with a planter that plants barley, soybeans, and corn, and I was mistaken with that. It does not plant corn, so we have to have a separate corn planter for that. Another reason why farming is expensive, because they just can't make all this machinery interlock. You have to have a whole bunch of different machinery, and the equipment is it's crazy expensive. You saw the price of those tires, and when I'm talking about the tires, it was for this tractor. It wasn't those giant tires at the back. It was those two front ones that were $3,500. Is that crazy? It is. Thought before we went in the barn we'd check on the rams after their little outing yesterday. And the poor things, I see a few of them are standing at the gate looking lustfully at the green grass. We let them all out yesterday, but today we have hay in both the feeders, so they're going to stay in today. And the main reason for that is, if you look at that paddock, it's hard to tell, but those guys grazed it like right down short. It's only a small area. We've got over 20 rams in here, so they kind of demolished it. The reason they're not going out there today is twofold. One, they have grazed it down low and we don't want that happening. The second thing is that that's a low field, and remember when I went to shut the gate I said it was a little wet in there. Wet ground is usually where you're gonna start getting foot issues and stuff like that. So hi Ferdinand, are you coming over to say hello? Hi Beppy. There's Scotty. He's always in the ram pan. So this morning you can see that these two jugs are empty. I just gotta take these pails out and wash those. But the ewes and lambs are out of the jugs. They got released last night into the group pen, and this is the group pen with all the lambs. It's a big pen for these guys. Actually, I don't know if you saw this guy walk up. This is one of the bottle babies, and he's quite the size compared to the little ones we just let out. But this is where they'll stay for a little while until we have a pen free for them in the coveralls. Hi little one, did you just get let out? Yeah, it's exciting in there. It is, yeah. That's a dog. Oh, scary. She sees Katie here. Hi you guys. And see, this is the new one. And these are the two bottle babies. And that's another guy. But even on that little lamb, you can already see that the build is correct. Even front to back, good spread on it. And look at, that's the new one, and this is Kit. So you can see how much Kit has grown now that there's a comparison in the pen. Those bottle babies are doing really well. So when you're talking about being able to get into farming and the costs associated with it and what you can do, unless your farm has been handed down in the family, basically costs are really high. So we'll look at equipment costs today. This is our biggest tractor, and compared to some people's equipment, they'd consider it a small tractor. But for us, this is the large girl. She's looks like it's, well, they even smeared it off, but I think it's a 7100 John Deere. This is the one with the extremely expensive tires and everything for repairs on tractors and farm equipment is expensive. So if you were a small farmer getting into sheep farming, we're going to use sheep farming as the example because we are sheep farmers, and that's what we're talking about here. So, like I said before, if you can, growing and planting and harvesting your own stuff is always the cheapest if you have the equipment. If you don't have the equipment, maybe not so much, because we have this tractor. This does the heavy crop work. So what we do, Arnie used to buy new equipment. That quickly disappeared, and we buy used equipment. There are good deals on used equipment because the big farmers flip it really quickly, and the old equipment tends to be made better. It just lasts forever. So we have the big tractor, like I said. We have a cultivator because we're from the old school. This is for leveling the fields and making a nice seed bed like I showed you the other day. Nowadays, a lot of large farmers have switched to no-till, which is extremely expensive equipment and basically not for a sheep farmer if you're just starting out. Like I said, this is I'm assuming that you're starting out, you're a normal person, you haven't had a farm handed to you, and you're not a millionaire. So basically, I would recommend used equipment. There's lots of it around the country, and if you're handy with machinery, bonus. Or you're a good welder. Arnie's a welder. He's not a mechanic, but he is a welder, so he's able to fix a lot of stuff. This is our medium tractor. She's a John Deere 245. This one's even older. She's really, really old, but this tractor gets a lot of use. It's the one where we have the creep feed mixer on it. This one, I think it's like 45, 50 years old, and it never breaks down. This is a good tractor. These wagons, we have a couple of these wagons, which Arnie made. He bought the frame and he put the beds on them and stuff. That's for hauling hay. We have an old offset disc, which will, it doesn't plow the fields, but it loosens them up even deeper than the cultivator when you need to break fields down. And then he has, the 245 was the small tractor. This tractor is the medium tractor. I get all these tractors confused. This is a 3140, also an old girl. How old is she?
I don't know. I'm thinking it could be in the 40s.
Yeah, another old girl with metal parts, no GPS or anything like that, and lasts forever.
40 some years, and the only thing I replaced in that tractor was the seat.
The seat, yeah. Yeah.
It's got the original clutch. It's got the original fuel pump on it. It's got, yeah.
But if you're going into sheep farming starting off, buy these old ones. They're everywhere and they're affordable. It's a way to get started. And then, like I said, Arnie bought that disc just a few days ago over there. You're going to say, what's the difference between the disc and the offset disc? And I'm going to say not too much. Yeah. Arnie's going to say there's a lot. But still, we got that machinery used. And I mean, we're quite established now. But these are the ways to save costs on a sheep farm. TMR mixers, telehandlers, what else? Are just no-till planters. High cost, high maintenance. The corn planter is back here. We have a corn planter, so it's also an old one. How old's the corn planter?
Oh. It would be easily well over 20 years old, maybe 30, 20.
It's about, yeah, you heard him.
It's a plateless.
But here we are. This is one of the things we bought brand new because there's not a lot of old ones of these around. So this is our hay wrapper. And the reason we got this is because we were having a hard time harvesting hay early enough for sheep. I think I mentioned in another video that in the spring it's really hard to get in haying, and by the time the fields are dry enough, the hay has grown really long and it's not as palatable and it's also not as nutritious. So with this machine we can get in early and get it wrapped and have good quality hay for the sheep. So this was an investment that we thought was a necessary one for us. And this one has a lot of moving parts, and for what it does, it actually was one of the more reasonably priced pieces of machinery. I think at the time we paid around $20,000 for it, but we had a trade-in of some old equipment as well. But getting equipment that has multi-uses is also extremely handy. And the one I would recommend the most on this farm is our skid steer, because it is the only piece of equipment we own that is used every single day. Fortunately, skid steers are extremely expensive. But like I say, we use it every day, so we can justify it a little more. And again, we got it used. We paid $9,000 for ours. And I think brand new, you're going to be paying $50,000 plus for them. All of these tractors would be $50,000, $100,000, and upwards for tractors, plus the repairs. No-till equipment, $50,000 upwards. Combines, you can pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for them. So telehandlers, hundreds of thousands of dollars for those too. So if you're gonna start up and you have no equipment, find something that's very multi-purpose. Like I say, the skid steer does manure, it does hay, it carries things for us, it digs, it lifts. It's a pretty good all-purpose thing, and you can find them used. Probably a medium-sized tractor is something you need. A bucket and forks on the bucket are something you need. But if you're buying brand new equipment, and you see some of these videos with these big fancy farms and the really nice equipment, sometimes they've got $1 million invested in this equipment, and no sheep farm is ever gonna even begin to pay back that cost. Sheep farming is kind of like a poor man's business. You can make money on it, but you gotta be efficient, and you gotta keep things as simple as possible. It's so tempting to see the wonderful TMR mixers and belts conveying feed, and thinking, oh, it's so much less labor, and maybe we'll invest in that, and at least we won't be as busy. But don't be deceived by that either. It is quicker for us to do all this work every morning by hand with our older equipment than it is to run a TMR with having to grind up the feed, mix the feed, put it in a TMR feeder, like those carts that drive it all out. The wasted space in your barns to drive the equipment on. If you have all that stuff already, fantastic for sure. But if you don't, very, very unpractical. And also, we have had TMR before, because Arnie used to have dairy cows, and with the dairy cows it was all TMR. But the maintenance on those things are extremely high, and like I say, to get the food prepared takes as long as it takes us to do all our chores in a day, and that's before they even start feeding it. So, not to put down people who have it. I mean, they're the lucky ones, because you just get on your tractor and feed it once it's all mixed up and stuff. But cost-wise, what we're talking about here, it's not something I would recommend if you're just starting up. Start slow, see how you're doing with your sheep, see if you can produce sheep that are making you good money, and then, hey, maybe invest in it later, or find some used stuff. But I wouldn't start that way ever. And this grinder mixer, we got this for $2,000, and we use it to mix all of our own grains for the creek feed, and we really, really like this. This is another piece of equipment that to buy new is very expensive, but sheep farmers don't usually need equipment that's as big unless you're really, really huge. So like we have 450 ewes, and this is a fantastic size for us, and we're feeding maybe 600 to 800 lambs a year. So it actually is a good size for us, and usually people with mixers like this are the bigger people. So these smaller mixers, you can usually get really good deals on them. If you search around in the country, you'll be able to get a good deal, and they're very handy if you grow your own crops. Because to buy a pre-mixed ration, of course you're going to pay someone to mix that, bag it, and ship it out to your farm. This is our version of a TMR cart. It's called a bucket, costs $5. Or you can even find used buckets. You get exercise, build those pipes, and eventually over time you walk with a slight bend to your back. The farmer's walk. This is the February group of lambs. I've been slowly pulling out the big rams in here, the ones that are having trouble fitting through the gate. We have no sore mouth in this barn, so I'm waiting for the other barn to clear up before I move this group over to that barn.
Why does that guy start nursing the mother?
Well, yesterday I just missed him nursing his mom. He was nursing his mom, and he looked as big as she did. But she loves him.
These are borderline to be weaned off right now.
Yeah, but right now we don't have space. But as soon as, well, unless you just leave them in here and take the mums out. But
Yeah, mothers can go to the pasture.
But these guys, yeah, that's why we've been pulling a few out, because the older ones in this group, this is the February to the beginning of March, so technically a whole bunch of these can be weaned off, and I have been pulling the big boys out.
That's probably one of the falsiest breeds.
They grow so fast that we can't keep up with them.
No, I mean,
because we're always looking. For us right at this time of year, it's all about space, because we've got so many groups going. As sheep start going to their new homes and to market and stuff, then it'll calm down and we'll have more places to put everyone. But at the end of lambing, it's always when we're maxed out. And Arnie just put some creep in here. It's our own creep feed. It's always a little bit satisfying to know that you're using your own grains. You know where it came from, how it was grown. And you have better quality if you could have a good farm, if you're a good farmer. This bin here that we're pouring it into is used purely as storage for the creep. So one of our viewers mentioned that if you have to take a mortgage or a loan to finance your sheep farm, you probably shouldn't do it. And that may be a little extreme, but the point is well taken, because with a normal job, you get a set paycheck every week or every few weeks, and you know what you're going to be earning at the end of the year. So the banks have no problem giving you loans, because they can see what your income is. With sheep farming and beef and grain, it's the same thing. You don't have a fixed salary, you don't have a fixed market price, and you're at the mercy of the buyers. And people think we're making a lot of money on the sheep, because if you go into the grocery store, you'll see a leg of lamb for $50. Well, I can tell you, we don't get anything close to that kind of money off the farm. There are a lot of middlemen in play there. Basically, for market lambs, you're looking at right now in Canada between around the $3.50 a pound, which is a far cry from the $20 you're paying in the grocery store. And like I say, that can depend. Every week we go to the sales barn. When we start shipping lambs to market, the price is different. And yeah, you can't guarantee it. And when food prices go too high, people will stop buying meat and stuff like that. And the government won't allow food prices to go high. And it rarely is reflected in the prices you pay at the grocery store, it's always reflected in how much they pay at the market when you bring your lambs in. It's kind of a sad way to run things. I always said that us sheep farmers should be government employees. We should get an annual salary. We should have health care, dental care, and all that stuff. And we should have a base salary so that no matter what the market holds for us, we are still going to get paid for the time and effort we're putting into raising food for the country. And if you produce better quality lamb, then you should be that should be just your bonus. You'll get more at the market, but you'll still have that base supplemental income. So the incentive will still be there to work hard and produce the best quality food you can. I think it's a good idea. I know a lot of people wouldn't, but I think it's a tough life farming, and I honestly don't know how people would get loans if you can't prove to the bank that you've actually got a stable income, because there's no stability in sheep farming. Look at these lambs all over this mom. And they all have to hang around me because our sheep are so friendly. This lamb here is just hanging out with Katie. And aside from all the equipment associated with cropping and handling the feed and manure, would be the infrastructure of your barns. The feeders, the gates, the doors, the drinkers, all and the barns itself. I would invest more in that than anything. Chutes. You have to have a chute. Even if you make it yourself, have a chute. Chutes are invaluable for less stress on you, less stress on the sheep for handling, and very quick. So build it or buy it. The good thing about sheep farming is a lot of people invest in all this equipment and handling equipment, and sheep farmers typically don't stay in it long because it's an extremely labor-intensive job and the payback is minimal. You really do have to love it. So the bonus for those of us who do stay in it is keep your eyes peeled on Marketplace, on Kijiji, talking to other farmers. Used equipment, especially handling equipment, comes up frequently. One thing I'll say though is it does tend to retain its value because nobody does want to buy the new stuff. It's too expensive, so it does drive up the cost of the used, but you still should get a better deal with used handling chutes, nail trimmers, feeders, gates, all that stuff. But if you can, it's always cheaper to make your own. We also have a stock trailer for bringing our own sheep to market. We used to hire in someone to do this, but what was happening with that is the sheep would be ready for market and you'd call to book them in and he didn't have space, or he wasn't feeling well that day, or it didn't happen. So again, we went on the hunt and found a secondhand trailer, and it's long since paid itself back. One of the absolute best times of the day is when they're all fed and eating. You can see that they're all healthy. You can see that they're growing well. The fruits of your labor is spread out all in front of you like this. It's a very nice feeling. And number one bonus is it's quiet. You can't believe how the noise works on you. The screaming all day long. It's like being in a major factory. So as we end our day, I just want to say that I do believe that anyone can be a sheep farmer. You just have to plan it and take it easy and go little by little. The priority should be your sheep and raising high quality animals, because that's where you're going to get the money from. And with that money that you make, then make the investments in the equipment and machinery and stuff. Just tough it out in the beginning and get those sheep in line and get the money flowing in. Anyway, off to make supper. I hope you'll join us again next time for the next episode at Ewetopia Farms. Bye for now.